Hi and welcome along to AFTV. It is time to preview the big one, the big restart game, Manchester City versus Arsenal. And with me to preview it today, a guy who runs a brilliant Manchester City channel called Esteemed Kompany. I've got Stephen McKinney with me. How you doing, Steve?
All right, mate. Good to see you. It's been a while. Football's back. It's nice, isn't it?
It's been a long time, man. A long time. How you been doing in the lockdown?
It's been naff, hasn't it? If we're being honest, it's been. I've struggled a little bit because it's just been a bit consuming. Worrying about family and all that kind of stuff. But it feels like we're slowly getting back to, there's something to look forward to at least. Things like football. So it's just nice to have a few little things like that and just to do and something on the horizon and all that kind of stuff. But personally, I guess I've been all right in general. Have you been all right? Have you been all right, mate?
I've been all right. Yeah, we've been doing lots of video content and speaking to fans and that. But listen, like you said, it's all about being in good health. So that's the main thing about it. And I've been so far, touch wood, I've been okay. And like you, looking forward to the game on Wednesday. That's the postponed game, of course. So I remember I was actually up in Manchester. I came up from the night before.
Yeah.
One of my brothers actually lives in Manchester, so I came up from the night before for the game, and it wasn't until I woke up in the morning because they didn't break the news until I think it was about after midnight they broke.
Yeah, the news. it was after midnight because I'd gone to bed and woke up to see it as well. So
so I woke up in the morning now and I'm like, plotting my day, and then I see that the game's off. I'm like, what? I'm already up here. I went along to. I remember I went along to the ground and I did a little video outside the stadium. But it's
back. Like ages ago, doesn't it? It feels like absolutely ages ago now. It's been weird. It's been so long.
Unbelievable. First of all, I'll ask you, what have City been like in the sort of warming up, coming back? Because for instance, the other day there was when it sort of came out that was going to be our first game, there was we was doing a live stream, and I remember a few of the people sort of having a laugh and joke on it and say, Robbie, we might be all right because have you seen De Bruyne? He looks like he's put on, he's looking bigger than you right now,
Honestly, I wish I was as fat as De Bruyne apparently is, because it was one of those angles where it looked a bit funny, but then he's still lean as anything,
It was. I mean, have they looked, have they done any friendlies, or how's City been looking?
I don't think we've actually done any friendlies as far as I'm aware. I mean, unless they've kept it super, super quiet, because I've not seen any mention it from anywhere online, from any forums or any Twitter or anything like that. And so I think City have just, if they have done any, it's been incredibly secretive, because most clubs have been playing other teams. I know Arsenal played quite a few friendlies, haven't they, as well? So I think City have been doing in-house games where they've basically split up the squad. Had a couple of academy players in there and playing each other. But none of us really know. I mean, City were even like a couple of days later back as well than even when all the players were getting the first round of testing. I think City was still a day or two later than most Premier League clubs. So don't know what the reason is that, but for one thing I do know is that City now actually have a full healthy squad. Like, we had a lot of injuries going up to it, and now we've got basically people like Laporte and even Sane and everyone's kind of fit now. So that's not really good news for you guys. But largely, City have been pretty quiet, even being honest. There's been like a few training shots and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think they played any games. Well, I'm almost certain they played no other teams. They might have played some in-house ones, but they played no other clubs or anything like that. I don't know the reasoning behind that, but they've just they've kept it pretty low key compared to most clubs. Whether that's right or not, I don't really know, but that's what's happened. So it's going to be interesting to see how they are come Wednesday, really.
Mind you, I was just thinking about it. City playing a City second team is probably better than us playing Brentford or Charlton, you know what I mean?
It's and it's a pretty good team. Like you've got, I don't know, you have Sane in one wing on the other team, then you'll have Mahrez on the other team or something like that. So it's hardly that bad. Then it'll be Gundogan against, I don't know, Rodri on the other side. So it's probably not. You probably looked at the squad and thought, actually, finally we've got a use for this massive squad, so it'll actually work. So what state of mind do you reckon Guardiola is going to be in? Because there's a couple of a lot of things for him might be on his mind on the coronavirus thing. Yeah,
his mother passed away from coronavirus, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, it was. Firstly, regardless of who you are, having to go through that, it's awful. Like, I mean, personally, I lost someone in my family from it as well, and I was going to start. I lost my auntie to it, and I I mean, it was one of the things. She was a distant relative, but my dad couldn't go to his sister's funeral in Wales and all that kind of stuff, and that really that was sad. It was really upsetting because not to be seeing your dad be able to grieve, and it's when it's a close family member like that, it's heavy, and the ability to grieve properly has been removed from people, hasn't it? All the things that you do, and people are routine led, in general, and even the idea of grieving in many ways has lots of sadly kind of boxes you like to tick. You like to go and you see family, you get to see your family for one last time. And the fact that he hasn't been able to do that, Guardiola is a very emotional, intense person, as we all know, and I guess it's yet to be seen. But none of us know how he's handling it. He is back in training, all that kind of stuff. It's just, would anyone really blame him if his focus wasn't entirely in it at this moment? No one would really blame him, would they? Because losing your mum, no one, this is everyone's worst nightmare, And I feel sorry for anyone who's been through that. But I mean, he is back there. He did send a message. He had a message to the fans wearing a mask when he got back in training. If I'm being honest, a lot of City fans are saying he doesn't really look himself during that. I'm not trying to read it into too much. And it must be a bit weird in a mask because you can't see people's expressions and stuff. But he did seem quite muted then. But who knows? Guardiola is he's a football fanatic. He lives and breathes the game, and it could hopefully maybe be some semblance of normality for him again. Maybe just seeing all those close connections around him. He's also brought in as well. Actually, interestingly, he's brought in one of his mentors basically is our new assistant manager. We finally replaced Arteta. We brought in a guy called Juan Marlillo, who Guardiola actually played for at the end of his career in Mexico for Dorados. And he's like a really kind of enigmatic coach and long-standing coach that Guardiola sees as one of his best friends. And even he's older than him, the coach, and he even called Guardiola his son once in an interview. So maybe having someone that close to him emotionally coming back into the training might help him a little bit as well, because you do need some things like that. You do need people close to you, even personally in training. So it's yet to be seen. I mean, Guardiola is a professional. It's awful what he's been through, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone at all. But I do think he'll be focused on the football. I do think he'll be doing his best he can, because I think that's all we've got at the moment. All of us, haven't we? We've just got to get on with life and hopefully try and get through it. So weird times for him. But I wouldn't be surprised if some other players that we don't know about, if for Arsenal, Man City, or anyone, have been directly involved, affected by this with family. So it's just a weird time.
Yeah. Obviously, Mikel Arteta was at Manchester City, now at Arsenal. What was he like at City? And what are your fans opinion of the fact that it's basically the pupil going back to take on the teacher or the professor, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Arteta was really popular. He seemed to be really popular. Some people just look confident, if you know what I mean. And Arteta has that aura of someone who looks like the mind's constantly racing. And all reports seem to suggest that he was really popular on the training ground as well. I'm sure you all saw it when he was joining Arsenal, but there was loads of little clips of him with Sterling teaching him where to go, and similar stuff with loads of other players. And he was basically seen as one of the people most influential in Sterling's development, actually, in terms of getting his confidence back and all that kind of stuff. And he seems to pick up really quickly what Guardiola wants, while also obviously having that knowledge of the Premier League. And he was popular around the dressing room, allegedly. He was a very amiable, affable bloke, but very focused as well. And I guess the more people like that, the more brains, the more kind of football-led brains that are intelligent, especially given his age as well, which I think actually does help. He's not too young for it to be a bit awkward, if you know what I mean. When you get like someone like Villas-Boas at Chelsea, where he was like 34 and no one took him seriously. But he's not too old to not to relate to them at the same time, because he's part of this. He's just literally past this generation of footballers, isn't he? So he's more or less in it for most of them. So I think he's in a really good spot. And I think he spent enough time at City as well. I think it was the right move for him personally. I was gutted to see him go, but he's got a lot of promise, and it's people don't really talk about coaches with potential. Really they don't really talk in the same way as they do with football players. But I think managers can have potential as well. And I think Arteta clearly has that. I guess you've been happy with him, haven't you, so far as well?
Yeah, no, definitely been happy with him. Definitely. The other thing I want to sort of ask you is that City this season, obviously last season they were absolutely incredible. They won all the domestic trophies. But this season they seem to be a bit indifferent. It's not been the City that we all know. Some of the games that they've lost, you've been like, that's strange. And even just before the lockdown, obviously, you suffered that, defeat to Manchester United. how have City been this season? What's been the strengths and what's been the weaknesses?
Well, I guess it's one of those things where, I mean, I'm always in the opinion that, all good things must roughly come to an end, I mean, even our end of this good thing is still pretty much better than most people's, breakdowns or whatever. I'm lucky. We've already won a trophy this season. Like literally we've already won the Carabao Cup, and we're still in the FA Cup, and we beat Real Madrid, like just before lockdown away from home. So I think when I look at the problems we've had, I mean, I think you can pinpoint a few issues in general. And I just want to add this caveat before anyone says, "Oh, boo-hoo, Man City, hard done by." I'm not complaining here. I'm just trying to be, as we do as football fans, we try and discuss what is going right and what is going wrong. And I think there's a couple of instances where City have had a little bit of bad luck and also made some relatively poor decisions. So the main factor for me was losing Vincent Kompany. Always, I think one of many factors. But Vincent Kompany, not only was he still a top-class defender, he probably was still world-class. I mean, towards the end of last season, he drove us to that title during that 14-game win run to beat Liverpool, which is astonishing. And given he was injury-ridden throughout his career, and he was at this point 34, and he still played basically all those games and scored that goal against Leicester, which is really famous now as well. Kompany was not just an astonishing player. He was also... there's loads of anecdotes about Kompany that when he walked into a room, the players would listen, he would stop, and he has this aura. And when someone of that authority leaves a dressing room, it creates a vacuum, like a leadership vacuum, basically. And I know people laugh at this, but even you look at the behind the scenes footage from the Manchester City documentary that was on Amazon, and even someone like Fabian Delph was a leader. Like, he was very vocal in the dressing room. I'm not saying he was anywhere near as influential as Kompany, of course, but in terms of if you lose two big voices out of a squad of 20 something, that's 10% of the squad gone like that, who have got a little bit of presence. So basically, I think we lost a couple of voices. Laporte being injured, Sané being injured. I mean, they're two world-class players. Like, those being injured for basically a season, it's going to affect any team, and it just is, unfortunately. So I'm not complaining, because life is good for Manchester City. But when we essentially lost 3 world-class players for most of the season, Vincent Kompany, Laporte, Leroy Sané, and we also, I guess, lost. We didn't lose, but we chose to lose, in my opinion, the best defensive midfield in the Premier League from his position. Fernandinho, a guy who'd become this just insatiable, energetic midfielder at number 6, because of the Kompany situation, because of Laporte's injury. We basically converted him to be a centre-back, which was kind of like necessary needs and all that kind of stuff. So we lost his presence and put a new guy in. Rodri, I like, but he's learning the job. Basically, he's been thrown into the deep end. So we've lost Fernandinho's presence in midfield. We've lost Kompany's presence in defence. We've lost a world-class winger. We've lost Laporte. So Laporte and Kompany would have been our 2 first choices last year. And it's just one of those things where I think there's been a few factors where a few things have changed, and it's just been too much, just too much. And we need to, I think we're basically in a little bit of a transition, but our transition, because our squad's so good, is probably less susceptible than most. And I know I'm very lucky in that front. But yeah, we're very lucky. I'm not complaining. But I just think eventually, after 2 seasons of that astonishing level, you're going to have one season where it's going to be a little bit lower. And I think that's what's happening. And who knows, you might end up winning 2 or 3 trophies anyway. So,
like you said right at the start of it, right at the start of when you started to say what you just said, like you said, we've got no sympathy with you. Right?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not expecting it either. It's like, you've only won the Carabao Cup and you still couldn't win the FA Cup.
First world problems that you
100%, yeah. But that's what I mean. That's why even this season, when some City fans are having a breakdown, I'm like, guys, I'm 34. I've seen much worse than this shit. Trust me. So when watching City now, it's like, this is still a pleasure, and I know it's a bit frustrating, but this team still can go into the Bernabeu and beat Real Madrid, and deservedly so. So we've just been up and down, but it'll come. I think we'll get back to where we were, hopefully. But Liverpool have been brilliant. So it's astonishing.
What frame of mind are Manchester City going to be in? Because there's a lot of people saying to us as Arsenal fans, this is a great time to play them. I don't know if it's a great time to play City. For us, we've got such a poor record against you. But people are saying this is a great time to play Manchester City. They ain't going to win the league, right? They're more concentrated on the Champions League. And obviously, there's been a break as well. This could be a great time to... I mean, you aren't going to win the league. You're obviously going to still get top 4.
Yeah.
So are you going to be driven as focused as this? Is that normal City machine going to be at work? Or do you think this first game could be more like sort of blow off the cobwebs type game for City.
I mean, I don't think anyone knows about any team. It's weird now. We're in pre-season effectively, aren't we? Because it's weird to talk about form or anything like that. I'm not saying you're saying that, but in general, like 3 months. When's the last time players had that clear a break? You know, like in general, like I don't think any top level players have had that ever in their career. You know, because even the break usually doesn't last that long over summer, does it? So like we've got a break now where we don't really know what to expect. From Man City, I haven't got the foggiest. I mean, I would say the Champions League stuff, that's going to come after the Premier League, I think, in general. So I wouldn't say that would be a distraction for Manchester City because we just can't focus on those games yet because they're not here yet because they're going to be a little bit late in the Premier League restart. So, I mean, the only thing I would say is it's probably not a good time for the fact that City once again now have all their squad back. Like we'd be able to pick what Guardiola would deem his strongest squad. Now I know players are lacking match fitness. Like Sane's not going to slide in because he's barely played. He's not played any football for like a year now. Not played since the Community Shield game, and that was only like 20 minutes or whatever. So we won't be that strong. But you know, Mendy will play, Laporte will play, and all these people. So I think in general, City they do have the mentality of champions, you know, because that's why they win so many trophies. So this City team is a focused City team. And I think there'll be an element of, I think the best athletes, they want to win and they want to play their sport, don't they, basically? They have that insatiable desire to win and improve. Everyone's been watching that Michael Jordan documentary. And as you've all seen, like the intense desire of those at the peak of their game, well, the best footballers will have that same desire as well. And Manchester City is a squad full of winners. It is, you know, largely. So I can't see them wanting to do anything else than just try and impress and play football because they probably miss football. And I would reckon most footballers right now just miss football. And I think they realise how short their career is. And I think they realise how lucky they probably are, you know, and I think they'll probably be really focused. So I think City will be just as motivated as Arsenal and as anyone else because these are professionals that know how to motivate themselves because they're at the top of the game. So I actually think City will be up for this. And I think it'll be interesting. I think Arsenal's the kind of level of game that City want as well, because you want to get into a big game, you want to be focused, and it's going to be fascinating. We could be shite, we could be terrible, but I've got a feeling we'll be on it, I reckon.
Yeah. Give us your predictions then. You know, who do you think is going to come out on top?
I think City will win, but I think it'll be an open game. I think there'll be goals. I think it'll be like 3-2 or something like that. I do think the City will win. I mean, last time, I remember, it was 3-0, wasn't it? De Bruyne, masterclass, I reckon. It'll be a little bit closer than that, I reckon, because I just think football's weird now. And I think it'll have slight pre-season vibes. It'll have like Community Shield vibes where it's a bit intense, but like still a bit pre-season-y. But I do think City will win this one. Just because I think the full squad, Laporte back and all that kind of stuff. And we'll be able to pick a very strong side.
Okay, well, Steve, thank you very much. Normally I'd say, well, I'll see you up there, but obviously I won't. But it is what it is, and we're just glad that football is back, and you know, good to see you and talk to you again, and we look forward to the game.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's gonna be good.
Just before we go there, tell them about your channel.
Yeah, it's called Esteemed Kompany. There'll be I'll be in the comments as well. I'm sure Robbie will put a link or whatever. But go and subscribe if you like Manchester City content. It's been a bit quiet because I've been just dealing with world, but now football's back. Be loads of City content, so go and subscribe to that.
Brilliant. Thanks, everybody. Looking forward to the game. Don't forget, Wednesday we're going to be all over it here on AFTV. Football is back.
Back again, yeah?
AFTV will be bringing you comprehensive coverage of every game from now until the end of the season.
Football's #1 narcissist is back. Back again, mate.
AFTV, back again.